Hi there, how are you? So I originally recorded this video last week, edited it, put it all together, spent 2 whole days editing it, doing nothing else, just that, and I was really pleased with the finished product. I felt like it was one of the best videos I've ever done. I uploaded it to YouTube and instantly got 2 copyright strikes from Warner Bros, who own Lord of the Rings, the movies. I was beside myself with fury. It was so fair use. They didn't even have a problem with the bits of footage where I wasn't talking over it and just playing parts of the film. The issues were with bits where I was talking on both accounts. So I was so angry, I just gave up, and I could bear to go back and edit it and see if I could get it past the strikes. But I've had a look today and I've re-edited it, so hopefully that shouldn't be an issue anymore. But of course, because of that, I have had to edit out a couple of bits. I did originally touch on the part where Boromir picks up the ring from Frodo and is tempted by it, and there was also a bit I had to cut where I talk about Aragorn and Boromir's relationship with each other at the forming of the Fellowship and why there's some hostility between the two. So I'm sorry, I wish I could show you the full video. I thought it was really good and goes into a bit more detail than the one you're going to watch, but it's just the way YouTube works. I've learned a valuable lesson. I'll have to be more careful in future, but you know, I'm sorry, I really tried. So I've just added this intro just to let you know that. But I hope you still enjoyed the video, and please, I put so much effort into it. It's been such a pain in the ass. If you do enjoy it, please like, comment, subscribe, check out my other videos. Thank you. Enjoy.
Boromir of Gondor, Tolkien's fallen hero.
Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings trilogy came out when I was a child, and it had a huge impact on me. I quickly fell in love with the world of Middle-earth, and I spent most of my childhood watching the films, reading the books, playing Lord of the Rings action figures, and playing Lord of the Rings with my friends. I think it defined my childhood in the same way that the original Star Wars films defined the childhoods of kids in the 80s. Every so often I like to go back and rewatch the films, extended editions of course, and you know, with experience and with age, I find myself noticing something different each time. In my most recent viewing, I was struck by what a tragic and, in my opinion, underrated character Boromir is. So in today's video, we're going to be looking at why I think Boromir is tragic, why I think he's underrated, and why I think he deserves so much more.
We first meet Boromir at Rivendell during the Council of Elrond. Boromir is there to represent the interests of Gondor and those of his father Denethor, who serves as Gondor's steward. During the meeting, and at several other points during the first film, Boromir is shown as being blunt and forceful. He's an excellent warrior, shows great bravery, and is absolutely the kind of guy you want beside you when you're facing down a horde of orcs. But, despite his impressive stature and skill in combat, he's full of fear and doubt, more so than any other members of the Fellowship, and the Ring preys on this. I think to understand Boromir's mindset during his time in the Fellowship, you need to know his background. Boromir is the eldest son of Denethor, who rules over Gondor as its steward until such a time that the true King of Gondor returns. Denethor's line is certainly a noble one, but there's a slight chip on the family shoulder due to the fact they're essentially substitutes for the true rulers of Gondor.
Authority is not given to you to deny the return of the king, steward.
The rule of Gondor is mine, and no others.
Denethor is said to have once been a great man, but in recent years he has become increasingly unstable and fawns over Boromir while snubbing his younger son Faramir. To make matters worse, Gondor's borders lie right next to Mordor, and the Gondorian city of Osgiliath was often besieged over the years by Sauron's forces as his strength grew. 5 years older than his younger brother, Boromir's mother died when he was 10. The event had a serious impact upon Denethor's demeanour, and he began to reject Faramir whilst embracing Boromir. Despite this, the two brothers were very close. Boromir protected Faramir and did his best to show his qualities to his father, and Faramir looked up to Boromir. As the two came of age, they both became skilled warriors. Boromir led the bulk of Gondor's army, while Faramir was captain of the Rangers of Ithilien, who used more guerrilla tactics and warfare to prevent Sauron's forces from taking hold in Gondor. During this time, Boromir achieved great merit for his dedication to Gondor and skill in battle, and his renown spread even as far as Rohan. One of his greatest victories came when he, along with Faramir, managed to retake the city of Osgiliath from Sauron. Boromir is a man who, despite his nobility, has encountered a great deal of hardship over the course of his life. His mother died when he was still a child, his father became unstable, placing unreasonable expectations upon him, and he has spent his adult life constantly at war with Sauron's ever-growing power. Boromir knows, better than most in Middle-earth, the threat that Sauron poses, and he's seen firsthand the destruction of the enemy's malice. Unlike other members of the Fellowship, Boromir isn't a great wizard or an elvish prince. He's just a man who has had to carry a burden far greater than most of the Fellowship by the time of its forming. And no, Legolas's battles in the Hobbit films don't count. I mean, ugh. Jesus Christ. By the time he arrives in Rivendell, you can imagine the amount of baggage Boromir's holding. He spent his adult life literally fighting for Gondor. How many friends has he seen die? How many wounds must he have taken? And how much longer can he defend his people from Sauron's growing power? It's no wonder that Boromir has the reaction he has when the One Ring is revealed. He's a military man, so it's no surprise that his first instinct is to use the ring as a weapon against Sauron. And, given that Gondor really is on Mordor's doorstep, Boromir does have a point when he says,
"Long has my father, the steward of Gondor, kept the forces of Mordor at bay. By the blood of our people are your lands kept safe."
When it's suggested that a fellowship take the ring to Mordor to destroy it in the fires of Mount Doom, Boromir is sceptical.
Does not simply walk into Mordor. Its black gates are guarded by more than just orcs. There is evil there that does not sleep. And the great eye is ever watchful. It is a barren wasteland, riddled with fire and ash and dust. The very air you breathe is a poisonous fume. Not with 10,000 men could you do this. It is folly.
Again, it's not hard to see why he has this reaction. Unlike many of the characters present at the council, Boromir has seen the might of Sauron firsthand. He knows better than most how impossible this task is. Finally, the Fellowship is formed, and though he's sceptical, Boromir joins on behalf of Gondor.
Carry the fate of us all, little one. If this is indeed the will of the council, then Gondor will see it done.
At Moria, Boromir is instrumental in saving Frodo from the Watcher in the Water, and he cuts down dozens of orcs in Balin's tomb. He may not entirely believe in their mission, but it's clear he's loyal to the Fellowship and risks his life numerous times for his comrades. It's also clear that he feels the death of Gandalf as keenly as the rest of the Fellowship, and he tries to comfort Frodo in Lorien.
Gandalf's death was not in vain. Nor would he have you give up hope. You carry a heavy burden, Frodo. Don't carry the weight of the dead.
In Lorien, Galadriel somehow speaks telepathically with each member of the Fellowship. Boromir later reveals to Aragorn that she told him there's still hope left for Gondor, but that he can't see it. He confides to Aragorn the immense pressure he feels to defend Gondor, a task he knows is hopeless. He reflects on the former glory of Gondor and states that he hopes that one day he and Aragorn will travel there, suggesting he's more accepting of Aragorn's claim as king than he was in Rivendell. As the Fellowship travels to Armen Hen near Gondor, Boromir suggests to Aragorn that the Fellowship travel to Minas Tirith and use the city as a base of strength from where they can plan their next move. Aragorn rejects the idea, and Boromir becomes frustrated at Aragorn's lack of faith in his own people, a people he should by rights be ruling. On the one hand, Aragorn is right to avoid major towns and cities, given the ring could easily be taken, but I think it's fair to say that Aragorn is overly dismissive of the strength of men. It is men, after all, who go on to challenge Sauron and help destroy his forces, while Frodo continues his journey. There weren't armies of elves or dwarves at the Battle of Pelennor Fields or the Black Gate, or the Siege of Gondor. In fact, in the books, there weren't even elves at Helm's Deep. Boromir's final encounter with Frodo at first sees him try to convince Frodo to take the ring to Gondor. Admittedly, he's got an agenda, but I feel that Boromir is more aware of Frodo's suffering than most of the other members of the Fellowship. Frodo carries a great burden, and I think Boromir relates to that. Boromir's fear and frustration soon reaches a boiling point, and he tries to take the ring by force from Frodo. The ring has achieved its goal of corrupting him. Frodo is able to escape using the ring, and Boromir quickly regains himself and is abhorred at what he's done. Before he gets a chance to see Frodo again, the Fellowship is attacked by the Uruk-hai, who have been instructed to bring the hobbits back to Saruman and kill the rest. In an effort to draw attention away from Frodo, Merry and Pippin distract the Uruks and are soon cornered. Boromir then comes to their rescue and fights valiantly, cutting down many Uruk-hai in defence of the two hobbits. Knowing he's outnumbered, he desperately blows his horn to call for help from the rest of the Fellowship, but they arrive too late. Boromir is slain by the Uruk leader, known in the films as Lurtz, who pierces him with arrows from afar whilst he's fighting the other Uruks. Even after taking multiple hits, Boromir continues to defend his friends. Aragorn reaches Boromir before Lurtz can finish Boromir off and kills the Uruk leader. Aragorn tries to aid Boromir, but it's too late. Boromir confesses his attack on Frodo and begs forgiveness for failing the Fellowship. In his last moments, Boromir tells Aragorn that he now truly believes men aren't strong enough to challenge Sauron, and that Gondor will indeed fall. Aragorn comforts Boromir, telling him he has regained his honour, and that he will not let the White City fall or his people fail, thus promising Boromir that he will accept his duty as King of Gondor. For the first time, Boromir finally has some hope. With his last words, Boromir gives Aragorn his allegiance as king.
I would have followed you, my brother. My captain. My king.
Upon viewing Jackson's trilogy for the first time, it would be easy to dismiss Boromir as the weakest or perhaps most corrupt member of the Fellowship. However, after new scenes were added in the extended editions, it becomes clear that Boromir, whilst flawed, is certainly more of a three-dimensional and tragic character than we're initially shown. It's also worth noting that for the entire time he was in the Fellowship, Boromir is constantly being targeted by the ring because it senses his doubt. That's the ring's greatest weapon. Imagine if Boromir hadn't joined the Fellowship. Who then would the ring have targeted? Gimli? Legolas? Would they have been able to resist? So there you go, there are my thoughts on one of Tolkien's most compelling characters. Please let me know what you think down in the comments. Do you agree with my analysis of Boromir, or do you think I'm giving him too much credit? If you enjoyed this video, then please share it with any other Tolkien nerds in your life, and give it a like. That will really help me and my channel, as well as help spread the love for Boromir. I make videos about all sorts of nerdy things, from films to video games, so if that's your thing, then be sure to subscribe. See you next time.